Jessica Conway got her master's in nursing and soon was in the ICU working nights. It wasn't a fit. Her body started to rebel. The difference? She listened and broke away from a toxic system that just wasn't working for her.
I'm Jessica Conway. I wear many hats these days. I've been a registered nurse for, over like 15 years, most of that in critical care in the ICU. During the pandemic, it was dialysis, and now I do hospice nursing. But I'm also a somatic practitioner. I see one on one clients for somatic trauma therapy. I live on the central coast of California and I love hiking and surfing and gardening and try to be as simple in this not so simple world as I can.
That's for sure. So Jessica, was there anything in your childhood that sort of directed you into nursing? Was there any sort of memory that you have that, yeah,
Yeah.
touched on that kind of way of life?
It's so funny. When I remember I went to undergrad for marine bio because I loved the ocean and nature and but I went to a UC and I the path they kind of pave is like PhD and I wasn't super into that. So I graduated college not really knowing what to do and my dad gave me the advice of don't worry about what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Just pick the next 5 years. And so my thought process then was, well, I'm not super career driven. I want more of a career that's like lifestyle supportive. Maybe I'll teach. And no one in my family was a nurse, so I didn't really know, but I was an ocean lifeguard at the time and we did a lot of medical calls and some big ocean rescues that got me excited about that whole medical world and talking to other women that were in nursing. And then knowing about myself, I just do better one on one than maybe at that time teaching felt like too big of a leap in terms of speaking in front of a big group of people. And so yeah, nursing kind of fit the bill at the time and yeah, and it is supportive of just kind of my caregiving nature.
Was the schooling period of your nursing? So you went to nursing school. Was it what you expected, or was it sort of a template that was, pressed out? How did you feel about your education, quote unquote?
Yeah, I actually got my master's in nursing, master's entry. So it was like a 2 year program where you get your RN and your master's at once. And I remember having to write my master's paper at the end. And I'm like, I really don't know what a nurse does. And yet I'm having to write this like master's paper on nursing. And so school was school. And I felt like, yeah, we got a taste of all the different departments. It was in LA. I went to UCLA. And so, we got to go to all the exciting hospitals and get a taste for everything. But no, like the on the job, the real like heart of it was like when I became a nurse and was working in the hospital, much different experience than what school was. Yeah. My first job was like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 5 nights a week, but they didn't give you two consecutive nights off. So you only had like, yeah, I cried every night going to work that first year. Like I almost quit that first year of just not being able to sleep and not knowing what I was doing. Felt like very overwhelming, but
And how was your experience interacting with patients versus interacting with, sort of the I don't want to, yeah, the administrative staff, the clinical staff? Tell me
mm,
a little bit about that.
gosh, yeah, these are good questions. It's like so funny. Memories are coming up I haven't thought about in so long, but you're talking about like that first year, those beginning years. Yeah.
Or in general, as it went along, I'm sure.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning being terrified, like because I was working night shift, like not wanting to wake up patients when they were sleeping and disrupt them. And obviously, as time went on, that fear was no longer even remotely an issue. Um, but yeah, being scared to like feeling like a failure that I was crying every night going to work and so tired and like my brain wasn't functioning at night and scared to like tell anyone about it because I thought I should have been able to kind of push through. And looking back, that's kind of that is a recurring theme that kept happening in nursing, like looking at other people around me, seeing them or maybe perceiving them as, being able to get through it and do it. And, you know, now I know I have such a different nervous system than everyone else. I'm highly sensitive and I need so much sleep. I've never been like, even in college, I never pulled all-nighters. I was never a night person. And um, yeah, I was scared to like tell anyone or get support or and just like kind of did the whole self like what's wrong with me thing and shame thing. Kind of different periods throughout nursing.
To
Yeah.
me, that sounds like a highly super tuned empath,
Hmm.
a place that would be so overwhelming. And to send that energy back, just you don't even know that at that point. So, when did that sort of come to a head? When did you start to really look within and make decisions about what was important to you?
Yeah. I mean, three main memories come to mind. That first year of being a nurse, I did finally advocate for myself and I went part time like pretty quickly. And then I quickly found a 12-hour shift job that was still nights, but at least it's only 3 nights a week versus five. Um, but I just knew I couldn't. So I quickly did part time. And in hindsight, at the time, I probably thought, how come I can't do this? But in hindsight, I'm like, that is the wisest choice I've ever made. And then I again, after 8 years in the ICU, I was having again some like physical symptoms and burnout. And it was also during a time where my personal life was stressful. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I can handle the stress of the ICU if that's my only stressor. But if anything outside of that, my like window of capacity was just shrinking. And um, I remember at that time, this was before I kind of knew all the nervous system work and somatic work. But I remember they sent me to the employee health doctor because I was having a lot of GI symptoms at work, allergies. And in my mind, I was like, oh, maybe I'm allergic to some chemical they're using to clean the floors with. Or so they sent me to employee health. I got so lucky though. He ended up being, I mean, a Western medicine doctor working for, cottage, working for the hospital system as the employee health doctor. But he happened to have been like the temple healer at Burning Man. So that kind of gives you an idea of who this guy is at heart. And he wrote on his prescription pad for me that I need to create a rage page and I need to start processing my rage. I was like, I don't know what like tipped him to kind of see that in me. And again, at the time, I was pretty unconscious about like not being like suppressing my anger and not listening to my body. He's like, maybe you should consider working at a different department. Maybe you should consider breaking up with this boyfriend that's causing you stress, and you need to start letting your rage out. And that was fascinating. But then after the pandemic was the third time and kind of final time that I really hit uh, major burnout low. And luckily at that point, I was seeing a somatic therapist who just educated me on the nervous system and depathologized my experience and kind of explained this is a pretty, like this, what you're experiencing is normal in a very abnormal environment. Like it's a normal response in an abnormal environment. So rather than it really lifted that shame and blame I had been carrying throughout my nursing career of like, I'm not tough enough. Like, how come I can't get through this? And it sent me on that journey of learning about my nervous system and somatic trauma therapy and how being sensitive and an empath and our history affects everyone differently and kind of sets you up to experience the world with different capacities. And yeah, so that's kind of how it all happened.
You were so brave to really listen to people that were really authentically trying to help you, and but more intently your own inner being. And that's so trained out of so many of us through those systems. I'm sure you saw, colleagues and associates that didn't really have that ability. What was the transition period? Because you obviously got out of nursing and you're on a path that suits you, body, mind, and soul now. So can you tell us a little bit more about what that period has been like and was like?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember having to take a pretty sober looking at like, do I want to stay in this nursing world as it is right now and work on widening my capacity? Or is it the wisest thing for me and my body in this moment to leave and find an environment that better suits my nervous system as it is right now? And I can slowly um, work on like healing my nervous system, healing my body, widening my capacity at a slower pace. And that just felt at the time what I needed to do for me based on, my health at the time, just like all the circumstances around me. And so I actually made a really radical life change at that. I left my nursing career. I left Santa Barbara. I had my apartment. I was single at the time. I was, had all the, I had the money coming in from nursing. I had the nice apartment. I had it all, but it wasn't worth my health. And so I actually, at 38 years old, temporarily moved in with my parents. I'm privileged enough that that is available to me and I could do that. And just knew I wanted to go back to school and study somatic therapy and take my time with it and not have to like work full time while doing that. So I was with them for a year and I was in school. Um, and then eventually I was like, okay, I'm ready to move out. I'll do hospice nursing called to me. I felt like that would be like the perfect way to get back into nursing. I'd taken a full year off of nursing. And it's been so supportive. And I love that I can also now like have my business of somatic therapy. And I've created a course for nurses and healthcare providers on burnout. So it really just, I've shifted my life. And now my partner and I, we live in this tiny, tiny home where we have limited our finances to like minimal so that we can live pretty simply and not overwork our, like, we both are sensitive humans and are sensitive to burnout and don't want to overwork ourselves. So we'd rather live super simply and we don't go out to eat, but we have so much more freedom and empowerment, I feel like, in like choosing like what aligns best for our unique bodies and spirits.
That's incredible. Yeah, and it takes so much inner strength to make
Yeah.
that choice because it's not as rosy as it may appear on the outside. There are a lot of, yeah. Can you go
It's
back?
super culturally illegal. It's like society does not look at it and it's like, this is not a sexy choice. So, yeah.
I see it popping up more and more, and I feel hopeful that we're going to go that way, especially as I see these other sort of systems that we've relied on really starting to fail and fall and crumble. And I'm hoping that that brings space so more of us can move into authentic ways of being like you have so brilliantly.
Yeah.
And that's my hope. I wanted to go back to the word somatic because it
Yeah.
certainly wasn't one that I learned, even though most of my life I've moved through life based on my body and held my emotions and my containment in my body. Can you describe what somatic means for you?
It's a good question. And every time someone asks me this, it's always a different answer. But soma means body, and somatics to me is like living body. And it is true, like we have the memories in our mind and our body has its own implicit memories that don't always have um like a picture memory to it or a movie memory to it. Um, and it's the way when we're under stress, our body automatically and kind of subconsciously responds and holds tension and tries to protect itself. And it's all innately good and by design. Um, but also being able to have choice and being able to have awareness and attunement to the body so that it can feel safe. Sometimes this protection gets habituated and a little bit limited and stuck in its nature. And so times where it is safe enough to relax the defenses, the body may need some help. And so somatics is really learning how to listen to the language of the body, attune to its needs, help the body feel safe enough so that we can align with the life we want and our health. And yeah, it's a whole just wisdom we have within our bodies that innately wants to heal and to open to life, and learning how to be with all the beautiful ways we also protect ourselves, and respecting that and celebrating it when it's needed, and then helping our bodies shift we can open up to life a bit more.
And
So
I,
that's kind of my experience with it. Yeah.
yeah, I feel it's been so downplayed. It's almost been repressed. Like, that's not the gold star. That's not the first place ribbon if you're listening to your own body. It's like, shut it down and go on automatic and achieve, achieve, achieve. Like, my son's roommate was double major, double minor, putting himself through school, like was working a part-time job and interning. And I thought this kid is going to crack before he's 43. And this is sort of like what is expected now. So
Yeah.
I just find this so beautiful that you've really been able to tease it out. And
Yeah.
do you see more people awakening to this kind of modality and trying something different?
I do. I'd say the majority of my clients are ones that it's a common story of like, I've gone to talk therapy for some time and I love talk. There is a place, and I do a lot of talk therapy in my therapy, but they'll say, and it was the same experience I have. And it's like, I have the wisdom, I have the knowledge, but like my body's doing something else. And like, I can't control, like, it's literally, we are an animal at times that, and it can be scary. It can be overwhelming, especially if you're sensitive and you think you're going into a situation and you got this, and then your body takes over as it does, because this is like millions of years of evolution of how our bodies are wired. And it's like we can't fight it at times. um but yeah, I think people are becoming more aware that, oh, I'm not just this brain, I also am this body, and there's something here that feels unintegrated and disconnected, and I don't feel as alive as I could be, or as, yeah, in my own authenticity as I could be, or at home. Like I remember at 30 going to an acupuncturist, and for the first time maybe fully inhabiting my body, and I was like, I think I didn't realize I've had legs for 30 years, like just being like cut off and running from a swirling brain my whole life. And yeah, super interesting.
Well, it is really lovely. Like I'm an empath. I can feel it coming through the screen, your heart and your light coming through and your ability to embody
Mm,
this system that you have created and worked with that works for you.
yeah.
And it's so beautiful. I'm so glad you've taken the time because I know there are many out there that are asking these questions but don't really have the pathway through. So just tell us where your website is, what the
Yeah.
offerings are, how we can get in touch with you.
Well, I just want to say thank you too for today. You're such a beautiful light, and just, yeah, these conversations are so needed in this world. So, yeah, thank you, Susan, for having me and bringing these conversations to so many people. Um, my website is Jessica Conway Somatics .com, and yeah, I do one-on-one somatic therapy. I also have a course on healing and preventing burnout for helping professionals. So, really, anyone experiencing burnout. Um, and yeah, my website has usually some meditations on Insight Timer, and here and there I'll write a blog on Substack. But yeah, would love to connect with anyone that feels called to explore the world of their body and um, somatics and the nervous system. Yeah,
Well,
it's a
thanks for going
beautiful.
through all you've gone through to transform and to serve in this way. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's been a journey, and I'm grateful to be have all learned all the beautiful lessons along